It's nice to see you,
But they're always in clothes. They're not like naked or semi-naked. Not like Pattaya. Blimey, me and the missus went to Pattaya about 3 weeks ago. Good grief, we only went there for 4 days. I had been there before, I didn't like it then, but we just decided to go because my missus had never seen anything like Pattaya before. I mean, she was an accountant in Bangkok, for goodness sake. So we drove to Pattaya in the truck, stayed in a really nice hotel. It was an apartment, and had everything in the apartment and what have you. Anyway, we went out into Pattaya. This was before they closed a lot of it down, and we went into some various bars, go-go bars, and the doors are shut, you can't see in. Anyway, we went into one of them. Fuck it, I've never seen anything like it in all my life. We went in and it was just naked girls. A lot of foreigners, old blokes and that, you know, in there, just drinking in the bar. And these Thai girls were just completely naked. And we sat down on this sort of bench, and they had this round bath with a shower attachment continually sprinkling water, and these girls would get into the bath and stand there and pretend to kind of wash themselves, you know, get all soaked up and that. And all these blokes were sitting around the bath, me and the missus, and they were just, I don't know, you could just see everything, and they'd sit there and squat down in the bath and urinate in the bath. Not my cup of tea at all. Oh, and another bloke, I tell you, I don't know how disgusting that I can describe this, but I have said my channel is not for children. And this other guy, when we were sitting by this bath, you could see over to the bar, and this other guy had this girl, I don't know how old she was, she didn't look that old, and she was sat on the bar with her legs akimbo, and he was licking her pussy just like it was nothing, you know. And she was just sitting there talking to her friend while this guy was licking her pussy. Obviously this guy would have to pay. I'm blowed if I would pay any of these girls to lick their pussy. Fuck it, they'd have to pay me to do it, and then I wouldn't. But I mean, my goodness me. And then there was another guy that we saw. He was sat opposite us by the bath, and this Thai girl was just sitting there talking to her friend, legs akimbo and sort of spread across him, and he was actually fingering her pussy, and she was just sitting there with her legs apart while this guy had his finger going in and out of her pussy. And I'm like, fucking hell bells. Anyway, we got out of there, me and the missus, and she wanted to we thought, well, okay, we've seen that, we'll try and experience everything as we've been here. So she insisted she wanted to go to a horse bar. A horse, you know, as in a horse. And of course it's just full of blokes. I don't know whether it was a gay bar. I think they all just sort of swung either way as long as you paid them. Anyway, we went in there and there must have been about 40 or 50 of these, I guess you could call them horses. And they all had like little numbers on. And we sat down and there was this Thai woman in there. Obviously had a little bit of money, this Thai woman. She had a Louis Vuitton handbag and a few friends with her, and all these guys were sort of hanging around her, you know, hoping to, you know, obviously get a drink. Because when you buy these people a drink, the same as in a girl bar, if you buy them a beer, the beer might cost you £4. Now they get like maybe £1 or £1.50. The bar get their money and the girl gets her money. It's called a lady drink. Anyway, they were obviously, all these guys in there, they were obviously hoping for a drink. Anyway, we sat down, fucking hell. And this Thai guy came up to me and put his hand, I only had shorts on, he put his hand on my leg and started running his hand up my leg, and I said, I sort of looked at him and said, fuck off, mate. Well, I didn't say fuck off, I just said, sorry mate, I'm not into that, I'm not gay, no thank you. But he still just stood there, you know, like I was going to buy him a drink. He just stood by the table. My missus obviously found that absolutely hilarious. Anyway, we stayed there for a drink, and after a while, these guys then got up on this sort of makeshift stage. There must have been 50 of them. They all filed up one by one, and then when they'd all sort of like done a little like a catwalk in front of this Thai woman, they all stood there, and she obviously just pointed out the number, or said the number that she wanted. She picked a couple of guys, obviously paid the bar and paid this, that and the other, and went out off with these guys. And that was a horse bar. And then she decided, my missus decided, oh, well, we've got to go to a ladyboy bar now. Oh my god. Alright, fair enough. So we went into this ladyboy bar. And there were all these ladyboys in there, and they did look like men with, you know, bikinis on. Some of them had like falsies, you know, implants. And they were like, you know, well, we sat down and we were quite at a low level, and then they're up on this stage with all these poles, and there must have been 10 or 12 of these ladyboys, all like in bikinis and what have you, with their fucking meat and two veg, which obviously they couldn't hide. I do believe some of them get a bit of sellotape or a bit of tape and tape their meat and two veg up, you know, in between their arse cheeks, if you like, for want of a better word. And anyway, of course their meat and two veg are all at fucking eye level, and there's nowhere to look. So I'm sitting there looking at all these fucking ladyboys at their meat and two veg, trying not to look, because the moment you kind of look at them and they catch your eye, they're like, oh yeah, you know, buy me a drink and all this shit. Anyway, we soon hightailed it out of there. I said to her, look, in fact I went outside and left her in there. I just felt really uncomfortable in there because they weren't interested, all these lady boys, they weren't interested in my missus, of course. They were only interested in me, and I was about the only bloke in there. There was one other guy in there and he was too busy on his mobile phone, bizarrely. So of course they were all looking at me. I said, look, no, I said, oh fuck, if I'm staying in here, I'm going to go and wait outside. And I went outside, and there was a lady boy outside, but in clothes. And I just was chatting to her while I was waiting for my missus to come out. Anyway, my missus came out, and I said, right, okay, fuck this shit. I said, next time we go out, we're going to a lesbian bar. Of course, we went out the next day, the next night, and decided, oh, we're going to go to a lesbian bar. And so I think we tried to get a motorbike taxi or a tuk-tuk or something to the sort of lesbian bar. I don't know what they called it, Pink Pussy or something like that. And but it had been closed because someone in that street where the lesbian bar was had got the virus, so it was actually closed. So I was a bit bummed out about that, because we never went to a lesbian bar. And I think after that we got a bit paranoid about the virus, so we left a day early and came back to Hor Hin, you know, came back home. This is a good road, Nigel. What are you doing? Where are you taking us? I've been down here before, but I've been going the other way because I remember this. My ears are popped as well, so we must be going uphill or downhill. I haven't been paying attention to the altitude. Anyway, so that's the Pattaya story. Ooh, nice. Nice little road, just a bit bumpy. Let's just try and hang back a little bit. Easy. I've got another guy behind me and then the sweeper behind him, and if I start to hang back a bit, he's like right up my chuff, kind of trying to push me forward, you know. That's why I don't like people behind me much. Yeah, nice road, but just a bit too back roady for me. All the holes and shit and crap on the side of the road. I just love that road that I did a video on, going through the elephant park. I know probably a lot of people haven't watched it, but there again, you should subscribe and then you can watch it. I know a lot of people probably haven't watched it because I've overlaid it with music, because I didn't really say a lot when I was going down that road, apart from, wow, look at that fucking elephant poo, and oh my god, you know. But lovely road surface, and because it was in an elephant reserve or a national park or whatever you want to call it, there were no houses like here. You've got houses on the side of the road and dogs and scooters and what have you. So there was no like left and right turns. Yeah, I do love that road. The road surface was good and had some lovely sweepy bends. So check out that video if you haven't seen it. Put some excellent music on it. Some of you probably disagree. Anybody that doesn't like Dave Gilmour or Pink Floyd, they must be stupid. Don't know what we stopped for, but I'm stopping in the bloody shade.